Listen up, the doctor's in. Grab the penicillin, cause your beats are sick and your head will stick. It's exporting music. Listen up, the doctor's in. Grab the penicillin, cause your beats are sick and your head will stick. It's exporting music. Exporting music.
Can you hear me now? Hopefully you guys can hear me now. So what I said was, Qpid warriors, today is a good day to eat spicy food to clear our sinuses, because you can probably hear in my voice I'm very congested. I've had a cold the past several days. I slept in yesterday and then I woke up for like 30 minutes and then I slept for like 5 hours. So that was pretty nice. So later on, I'm gonna get some spicy Thai food, and what I like to do when I have congestion is spicy Thai food and a Thai milk tea to like balance it. And so that's the plan after I stream. So, also, would you guys prefer my regular avatar or my Star Trek avatar for today? Any votes? Yes, those are the two. Red Jacket to Carmen Sandiego, or Science Officer. I think the Science Officer one looks like... So, apparently back in the day, women used to wet their legs / skirts, so the skirts would stick to their legs to seduce men. Looks like that's what I did in this uniform. Like, I wet my boobs so that it would stick to them. Draw attention. Alright, today I will be ranking, I'll be doing a tier list. God, sorry guys. I will be continuing my Star Trek tier list with seasons 3 and 4. Last time I did seasons 1 and 2. Today I will do 3 and 4. And last time we ended up with S tier being Measure of a Man and Samaritan Snare. Those are two of my top 5. And F tier, we had a lot in F tier. It was actually pretty balanced, except for there was not a lot of S and A tier, but I think that's as expected for seasons 1 and 2. So we're gonna continue on to season 3. Season 3, we have got Evolution, which is, so season 3 comes, and we're like, oh, by the way, Pulaski's gone, Crusher's back, and everybody's like, woohoo, yay! And then Wesley has... So there's like this scientist on board who wants to see some once-in-a-lifetime phenomena, space phenomena. He's there to study it. But Wesley's nanobots get away. What really irritates me about this episode is Wesley like goes and talks to Guinan, and she has this whole thing about her friend, Dr. Frankenstein, and this like whole metaphor thing. And it's like, it's so weird because she keeps talking like he's a real person. There's no real Dr. Frankenstein. She acts like he's like a historical person she knew. And it really irritates me. Like, just that scene, I'm like, what? That's stupid. So yeah, so then the nanobots, and then the nanobots become alive. They like evolve and become like sentient, and then like eventually they're able to even talk to them through data, and then the nanobots help them out. This is a pretty, like, I'm trying to think, what's the first episode of season 2? Okay, so this is definitely the best first episode of a season, because season 1, obviously awful. Season 2 is the child, gross. So I feel like I'd put this one at a B tier because it's one of the most solid starts to a season. Plus, you know, you're all happy about Crusher being back. So I'm leaning towards B tier for this one. The Ensigns. Oh, the Ensigns of Command. Okay, when I saw just the title of this, I was like, what the hell is this one? And now when I see the picture, I'm like, oh yeah. So this is the one when they send Data down to the planet because there's this stupid fucking colony that's like, they need to leave because of the, oh, what's the name of the creatures? The Scria? Is it the Scria? No, not the Scria. That's DS9. Damn it. But I swear it's with an S. The C, anyway. So this species in like some negotiation with the Federation is like claimed ownership of this planet. So this colony needs to leave. But they're like, no, we built a life here. We won't leave. And it's like Jada's job to get him to leave. And then this woman there falls in love with Data, and she's all bummed out because he doesn't love her back because he's literally incapable of love. It's interesting, the women in the show that fall in love with him, because it's like, I really hope you have a therapist because you're falling in love with a man who's incapable of loving you back. And so, I mean, I don't know. Data's my favorite character in TNG, so I like this episode. I don't skip it. I don't know that it's A tier, but maybe like a higher B tier. Let's see, the neutral zone. I'm gonna put it right here. Let's see, the survivors. So this is the one where they come upon this planet that's been attacked, and it's like, oh man, the whole planet's wiped out. And then they're like, wait a second, what's this house with its green lawn? So there's just this one couple that survived. This one's got a good Worf scene where she's like, what do you think, Mr. Worf? He's like, nice house, good tea. I know Sleepy Data does have game, because like, the thing is, he's just like a nice guy. He's thoughtful. He's incapable of love, but he's thoughtful and he's a good friend. So, and he's always nice to you. He's never going to be mean to you. So I guess, you could do a lot worse. So anyway, this couple's alive, and everyone's like, why the hell are you guys alive? What's the deal here? Oh, and then Troi's having this whole thing where she's got this music playing in her head and she's going insane because of it. And I come to find out that there was only one survivor, not two. The wife died. The husband is like something with a D or whatever. And he's basically like a godlike, like Q level powers. But he's a pacifist. So when these other aliens came and attacked the planet, his wife joined the others to fight, but he was a pacifist. He didn't fight. Then his wife gets killed and everyone on the planet gets killed. So he loses his shit and he wipes out the attackers. But then he's like, no, you don't understand. I didn't just wipe out, the army. He genocided the entire species. It's actually like a pretty sad episode. Like, they're not a single one of their species. He got rid of all of them. And then he removes the music from Troi's mind, and he's like, we have no law by which to judge you, is what Picard says. It's actually sad. So it's super... Oh, unlike, you're talking about Data Wishstone. I was like, yeah, this old guy doesn't try to hump everything. Yeah, no, see, yeah, that's what charm of Data. So it's very sad. I don't feel like it's an A tier. Is it B or C? Kind of feel like maybe B tier, because it is, the first time you see it, you definitely are like, what is the deal here? Like, what's happening? Sorry, I'm enjoying my Jasmine Silvertip green tea. So I'm leaning towards B tier. Because it's definitely like, it's not super interesting the next time you see it, but the first time you see it, you're like, what is the deal here? And I do love the Worf line, nice house, good tea. Let's see, who watches the Watchers? Okay, this is in my top 5. I love Who Watches the Watchers. It's probably one of my most quoted. The Picard will be pleased. So this takes place on Mintaka 3, I believe, and it's a proto-Vulcan species that some Starfleet anthropologists are keeping an eye on, and they have a secret base up in the mountains that's like hidden through like hollow technology. But then there's an accident one day, and like the base gets discovered, and so one of their one of the Mintakans falls and gets injured, and Dr. Crusher, you know Dr. Crusher, she's like, I can't let him die, so she takes him back to the Enterprise. And then they're supposed to wipe his memory, but she's not as good at wiping memories as Dr. Pulaski. My guess is because people just don't want to remember Dr. Pulaski, so they actually help and wipe their own memories. But so when he's up there in sickbay, he sees Captain Picard, he hears about Captain Picard. So when he gets sent back down, he's like, oh my god, I went to heaven, and Picard God sent me back. And then like Riker and Troi get sent down in disguise as Mintakans because what ends up happening is the guy's experience rekindles religion on the planet, and they were past religion. They were to science, and it's a little offensive if you're religious. And so it's a really funny episode because then he's like, we've captured, this guy, the Picard will be pleased. Yeah, I'm putting that in S tier. No, I don't need to say anything else. I love that episode. I'm gonna put it above Samaritan Snare. Even though I love Samaritan Snare, obviously quality-wise it's better. But below Measure of a Man. Let's see. Now the bonding. Ugh. The bonding. So this boy's dad has already died from something or other. And then his mom dies in an away mission that's being led by Worf. And, so he's like sad, blah, blah, blah. Worf wants to do the bonding with them because they're both orphans and they'll become bonded as brothers or whatever through the Klingon ceremony. And blah, blah, blah. The aliens on the planet feel bad that his mom got killed, and so they offer him like a fake life. And yeah, this episode's, it's boring. C or D tier? Looking at my other D tiers, I feel like this is D tier. It's not terrible, it's just like whatever. And then like Worf does the bonding with him, but he's like never shown again, ever. I mean, I would imagine he goes to live on Earth with his grandparents or whatever. Booby trap. Yeah. This is when they go to look at this old, this ancient battleground, and, Picard, you know how Picard loves his archaeology. So they go, but then they get caught in an ancient booby trap that was set for the enemies in the battle that took place. So they're stuck. Geordi has to figure out a way to save them. And then so he magically creates... There's a scientist, Dr. Leah Brahms, who helped design the Enterprise, not build it. She helped design the Enterprise. Was she on Utopia Planitia? I don't know. That's where they do the shipbuilding. And so then he uses her files to help him, but then he's like, computer, blah, 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 I'm Geordi. And so then it creates this like completely lifelike version of her that has like a personality and everything and all her knowledge. And Geordi's really turned on by her. And for some reason, this version of her's pretty into him too. She's like massaging his shoulders and shit. And it's like, wow, okay. It's pretty fucking weird. Even weirder when we see her again later. Although it is hinted in season 7, the finale of the series, Picard asks how Leah is, I believe. So it's implied that he marries her. So, interesting. I'm gonna go with D tier because I think how he creates her is total bullshit. I don't know. What do you guys think? The enemy. Oh, this one's got a reused actor. I'm sorry. Pretty sure the guy that plays the Romulan in this episode is the same as the guy that Troi has an inappropriate relationship with later on a different planet. So, yeah. this is the episode. They're trapped down on this stormy planet, and the Romulans are there, and Geordi and this guy, Romulan, work together. Oh, Tomalak. They have Commander Tomalak on there. He reappears numerous times. He's a recurring Romulan. I always like it when they have recurring ones instead of just like a new one every time. This is not very exciting. And so they work together and they find their way back, and then his friendship with the Romulan is yippee. Yeah. It's fine. I guess I'll give it C tier. I'm tired. I want to go nice. What is the price? Oh god, is this what I think it is? Oh god, no. No! 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 Is this the episode with Devanani Rawl? Oh god. So this is the freaking horrifying episode. I gotta double check that I'm right on this. Oh god. The price. Is it the episode? It is! Oh god. Okay, so Devanani Rawl is, he comes... This one species discovered a stable wormhole. So multiple species and the Federation are negotiating to purchase this from the species. Including the Ferengi show up and they want to buy it too. Devanani Rawl works for somebody. I don't know what group he works for. And, by the way, the actor who plays Devanani Rawl is also in an episode of, at least one episode of Seinfeld. He's the one where, I think the one with the gum. And then Elaine gets sprayed with the hose and he thinks she's coming onto her. Anyway, ugh. Mind Switch. I should write a tier list where that's a major plot point. With music. So yeah, Devanani comes on and he's creepy as hell. He's so creepy and like straight up rapey. Some people have seen this episode. Do you remember this? It's so gross. He's a freaking predator. And like, I don't know what the writers were thinking when they have her respond favorably to this, because he is so disturbing. And so Troi ends up sleeping with him and blah, 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 but it's so awful. It's awful. Like, if this aired today, there would be an outcry. Like, it's gross. He's like, oh my god. Anyway, his whole deal ends up being that he's 1/4 Betazoid, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, this is F tier. It is the creepiest shit. Like, the, Riva is not, you know how Riva was a little creepy with her? No. Riva is nothing compared to this guy. The Vengeance Factor. Classic Riker being like, yeah, I want some of that alien. Well, I'm on YouTube, so I'll be appropriate. So he wants this girl, Utah, and he's like, she's the chef for this leader of this planet / group, and he's like, what's your specialty? You should cook for me. Oh yeah. And it's like, bro. But it's these two groups that are like warring, and or have been warring for like centuries, and they have like different families that ward, or like factions. There's a word that I'm missing that they use in the episode. Man. Anyway, turns out that this chick that Riker wants to bang, but has emotional issues, she actually is not as young as she looks. Her family magically kept her young forever so that she could kill the last of the tribe that killed her family, so that her tribe would ultimately be the winners. And then in the end, Riker ends up having to kill her, and he turns away, and this guy's like, I owe you my life, Commander. And Riker's like, I was gonna bang her. And it's really sad. It's really tragic. It's not the first it's not the first or last time it happens to him that someone he was planning on having sex with has an early demise, so. It's an okay episode. Thinking... I think the actress that plays Yuta is pretty good. I feel like that brings it up a little bit. Maybe low B tier. The Defector. Okay, this guy's like one of the goats of the reused actors. I should really know his name. So this guy plays Romulan Defector in this episode. He also plays Future Alexander. He also plays Dr. Mora, who is like Odo's dad, sort of. And he plays one episode of Voyager. He plays this guy whose name I forgot, who's basically was like the inventor of the atomic bomb in Neelix's area. So anyway, this is a super sad episode where this Romulan Defector comes and he's like, irrelevant. And it's super sad because they're like, well, what's your deal, bro? Like, how are we supposed to believe you're really a defector and not a piece of shit regular Romulan? And he finally, like, reveals, like, his whole deal. And he's like, I'll lead you. He's like, I'm doing this because I don't want another war that'll kill people. I want my children to grow up. And he's, like, really devastated because, you know, he can never go home again. And it turns out, and I'm, like, gonna cry because this is such a sad episode. Because, like, he's a patriot. He's like, no, I'm doing this because I'm a patriot. And I don't want everyone to get killed in another stupid war. But it turns out that the base that he's leading the Federation to doesn't exist. And it was actually put there that the plans were all fake because they thought he might defect if he saw these fake plans, and they were right. And it's super sad. I think this is S tier. It's super sad because then in the end he kills himself and he like leaves a note, and then Data's like, but sir, he must have known we couldn't return the letter. And he's like, and then Picard's like, maybe he hoped that one day we could. It's super sad. I'm feeling really emotional. Probably just the cold and the time of the month, which it is. And I don't mean the date. Anyway. Did you guys hear about that? Speaking of, did you guys hear about that game? That it's a game. God, sorry, I'm so out of it. It's a game that's added a period tracking app. It's an otame game for women that's added a period tracking app as part of the game, and the game responds to it. So I'm like, not my thing. That's for sure. Anyway, The Hunted. This guy. Oh, this guy. I know his name. But I've got Devanani Rawl stuck in my head, so I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Rogar Dana. He, in the first episode of... Excuse me. He, in the first episode of Voyager, is the doctor, I believe. Before they all get killed. Most of the crew gets killed. He was the doctor, I believe, for that 1 second. Anyway, so this episode, this guy is trying to escape, but he gets caught because Data's hella good. Data's the GOAT. And then they find out this guy... Oh, he's an escaped convict. But actually, he's a super soldier, so he's kind of like a Captain America thing. But then after the war, they were like, well, we don't want to deal with you guys and your aggressive strongness. So we're just going to put you on a penal colony, make you live the rest of your lives there. And this episode has the actor whose name I know, but can't think of right now. The other GOAT of reused actors, because he plays Zephram Cochrane in the movie. So, and he plays several other roles, because he's freakishly tall. But he's also Zephram Cochrane, so that's very exciting. He is the leader of this group. They're trying to join the Federation. I like this episode. I think this episode is solid. Is A too high for this episode? God damn it. No, I think this can go A. I like it. The High Ground is this episode with these warring, like, basically it's this group where there's the regular group, and then there's like the faction that wants independence. And so the faction is seen as terrorists, but they see themselves as liberationists or you know, like, it's funny because, okay, so they capture Dr. Crusher, and what cracks me up is Dr. Crusher's having like a conversation with the leader who's got the hots for her. James Cromwell, that's right, Otter. Good one. Anyway, so she's having a conversation with this guy who's captured her and kidnapped her, and he's like, you're from you're from, the Americas, aren't you? And she's like, North America. I'm like, how the fuck does this guy know any country on their planet? And then he's like, think of me as your George Washington. It's like, okay, you are telling me this guy from a different solar system, not only does he know about continents on Earth and countries, he knows about George Washington? That's ridiculous. I will not accept that. I get that it's for the audience's benefit, but I'm not so stupid that I needed that, but maybe there are others who did. So yeah, then he's like falling in love with Dr. Crusher. Nothing like happens, but it's like he's sketching her, which is very sexy. And it's actually a pretty sad episode. I think it's pretty solid though. Like, because it explores some like interesting like political stuff. A little bit of overacting in it, but that's not super different from any other episode. I guess I'm gonna put it in B tier. I don't know. Really, this kind of stuff really makes me anxious. I do not like... For my OCD therapy, they used to have me like rate my anxiety level, but that just heightened my anxiety level because I was worried about being accurate when rating my anxiety level. So, I don't like that. Thanks for following on Twitch, Cypher01. Hello, James. Okay, what do we got? Deja Q. Okay. This is the episode where where Q has been ousted from the continuum and lost his powers. It's pretty funny. He's like, "What can I do to prove to you that I'm mortal?" And Worf's all, "Die." He's like, "Oh, ha ha, Worf. Eaten any good books lately?" And then like Data befriends him, and then Data teaches him about humanity, and then when the continuum takes him back, he gives Data a gift of laughter. It's a pretty... this is probably one of the best Q ones, actually. Let me think about the other Q ones. Obviously, the first one's god-awful. Second one's awful. The next one with the Borg is okay. This one's pretty good. I'm gonna put this in A tier because it's probably the best Q episode. And I just feel like it. Matter of perspective. Oh, God, I hate this one. I hate it. Yeah, I agree, Sapling Turtle. It made him less two-dimensional. It's one of the only ones that really kind of explores his character more. I hate A Matter of Perspective. Ugh, it's this one with this whole issue with... There's so much ridiculous about this episode. But basically, Riker's on trial because they're accusing him of murdering this guy. And so then they do a trial by using the holodeck they take Riker's statement, they take the guy's wife's statement, then they recreate the stories that they've told using the holodeck. I hate this episode. Does anyone else hate this one? I just hate it. And it's funny because the woman's like accusing Riker of rape, but he's like, I didn't do that. And I'm like, I don't know, Riker, sounds about right. I hate it. Just there's so much about this episode because then when Geordi figures out what really happened, he like shows it and then instantly they're like, we accept this as the explanation. The end. And it's like, no, absolutely not. I'm D-tiering this one. I freaking hate this one. Yes, I hate Yesterday's Enterprise too because I know this is blasphemy. It does sound, oh yeah, James, it's actually very similar to that Voyager episode with oh my god. You know who I'm talking about. Tom Paris. It's very similar to that episode. In a lot of ways. Yesterday's Enterprise, I hate just because I hate any kind of time travel or alternate dimensions, alternate timelines. I'm a high anxiety person with OCD. I cannot handle that kind of concept because it puts me into a crisis. So I hate Yesterday's Enterprise, but I would guess that other people probably like it. So it's the one where the Enterprise C comes through... How does it get there? It goes through something to come to modern day on accident. But the Enterprise C... but that messes everything up in the modern day because the Enterprise C in the past was at Khitomer and came to the defense of the Klingons at Khitomer against the Romulans, which led to the Khitomer Accords. So because that never happened, since they came into the future, yeah, you're right, James. Plus, she's a badass lady captain, so I like that. And so, the Klingon War is still going on, and it's not going well. So basically, they figure out, like, we gotta send you back. And then Guinan, with her magical powers that the Alpha... Which, she's an Alpha Centauri, right? Which, never explained. I don't recall them even ever saying that that's what she is. But she... anyway, she magically is like, this timeline ain't right. And then she goes to Tasha, and she's like, Tasha, we're not supposed to even know each other. And she's like, why not? And she's like, because you had a death without meaning. And it's like, wow, okay, that was really uncalled for. You did not need to say that. So anyway, Picard has to send this Enterprise C back through the time hole to die, knowing that they're going to die, but it's going to change history. I'm going to cry. See, this is... I can't do this. Not an Alpha Centauri? What am I... Tau Alpha Ceti? There's so many words going through my head. Getting that wrong. I know, you're right. You're right. That's gonna bug me. Elorian. That's right. Thank you, Elorian. I knew there was an A. Good one. Anyway, oh yeah, so they get sent through, and then Tasha's like, well, I want to go back too, because I have the hots for this one guy. Also, I don't want to have my meaningless death. So she gets sent. And then, of course, it changes history back. The funny thing, though, that cracks me up is when the guy that Tasha, like, falls in love with, they're, like, talking. And he's like, my name's whatever. And she's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, or he's like, everybody calls me whatever except for my mom calls me blank. And so she's like, okay, whatever. And she calls him what his friends call him. And he's like, actually, I think I'd like you to call me blank, whatever his mom's. So, like, let's say his name is Thomas. He's like, everybody calls me Thomas, but my mom calls me Tommy. And she's like, okay, Thomas. And he's like, actually, I think I'd like you to call me Tommy. And it's like, oh, that's kinky. You want her to call you what your mom calls you? All right. So that's gross. I mean, this is a pretty good episode, I guess. I'm gonna have to... I personally don't like it because time travel stresses me out, but it is a good episode. And yeah, it's creepy. And the Enterprise C, like, getting that cool timeline of how they, even though they died to the Klingons, you know, they died an honorable death coming to their defense, and that changed everything. I think that's cool. Yes, that's his name. How did you... Damn, James. Are you remembering this off the top of your head? The Offspring. This is one of my favorite episodes. I cry my freaking eyes out. Right, Otter? That's so creepy. Especially the way he says it, too. Like, he makes it very clear, I want you to call me what my mother calls me. So the Offspring. I cry my eyes out at the end of this one. This is when Data creates another Soon type android. And it's like this big outcry that I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this in this episode when Picard's like, you should have asked my permission, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why? Like, what? I don't get it. But anyway, he's raising her. It's a great episode. Side note, the actress that plays Lal, his daughter, which is supposed to be Hindi for beloved, she's the mom in the Lizzie McGuire show. I don't know what you said, James. Another life? I don't know. It's a new life. Yeah, well, so why can't he create a new life? And he's like, Data's like, well, other people don't ask to have a baby. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, Data. I'm on your side. But maybe that's just the autism. And then, so he creates her and he's teaching her, and it's really funny and great and really touching. But then accidentally, he's created her where she's actually able to have emotions. And an admiral comes from Starfleet because they're insisting that they get the android, and Data's like, nah, fuck you, this my baby. And I agree with him. And then Picard is like, no, I'm not letting you take him, he has rights. Take her from him, he has rights. But then it turns out Lal's got emotion. And then basically her neural network, her matrix is shutting down because it's not stable. And then the admiral actually tries to help save her. And then the part when I start bawling my freaking eyes out is when Data and the admiral are working trying to save her. The admiral comes out of the room. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. I can't even cry. And he's like, And he's like, his hands were moving so fast. I could barely see them. And he's like tearing up and starting to cry. And he's like, it just wasn't meant to be. And that's when I start crying my freaking eyes out. And then, oh my God. And then Lal's like, you know, I feel. And Data's like, what do you feel? And she says, I love you, Father. And he says, I wish I could feel it with you. I will feel it for both of us. And then I'm like, crying my freaking eyes out. Oh my God. S tier. I'm going to put it up here. Oh my God. I can't cry because I'm already congested. I mean, I guess that would maybe get the mucus out, but then it's just going to flow down me. Sins of the Father. This is when the POS Duros are first introduced, I believe. They're a shitty Klingon family. I know, it's so sad. I will feel it for both of us. Oh yeah, I've seen that meme, James. That's a good one. Especially since that's me a lot of the time. The Sins of the Father. So, the Duros family is like, oh, we've got evidence that Moog, which is Worf's father, was the one that betrayed the Klingons to the Romulans. And Worf's like, oh, hell no. So he goes back to the Klingon planet Kronos. He's like, hell no. And then he shows up, and it's someone, he's like, I am here to, you know, something that lies against my father. And they're like, oh shit, Worf, you weren't here. Why did you come back? And it's a good one. They've got what's her name? Lest, not to be confused with Less. And they just love K names. Because there's Kimpek as well, who's the leader of the council. Oh, and Picard is going to be his Chadich, which is like his second. And I forgot Kern is in this. Yes, I know. Kern, who turns out to be Worf's brother, and Worf thought his brother died at Kittimer, but he survived and got taken care of. So anyway, long story short, yes, Worf's nanny, Lest, not Less. They were just like, man, we really like this. Let's just take the T off and it's perfect. The T's too feminine. And then the Duros family's lying because it's actually Duros' father that betrayed the Klingons to the Romulans. What from Star Trek? More sci-fi? That's a hard question. Because honestly, like for me, the big problem with things in general these days is like the lack of originality. Like a lot of things have just gotten so like, we got to make a million versions of things and like just churn it out and like, I don't know. I'll have to think about that more. It's a good question. Just like the too many like going for surprise factor and not worrying about quality enough. I feel like sometimes like, I feel like in general in media quality's gone down a lot because it's just the focus is on like being, you know, like all the Disney live action remakes. Like they know these suck, but they're just gonna churn them out because it's gonna make money. And it's like, just make less, but make what you make better. You know, like there's only one season of Firefly, but it is perfect, you know? Anyway. Hope that answers your question a little, Milkman. Sins of the Father. So it's actually the Duros. So they don't want to expose the Durof. Oh, okay. They don't want to expose the Duros family. Because it would destabilize the Klingon Council. So Worf agrees to accept discommendation. Discommendation! Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying, James. Yeah. Yeah, they don't use... Yeah. And, like, characters that aren't well-rounded. And, like, yeah, you're totally right. So, Sins of the Father... Sins of the Father is an important episode. I'm gonna put this A, because, yeah, it really starts to show, like, Klingon... It starts to establish, like, someone has said it in here. Sapling Turtle, you said it, how it starts to establish Picard as an important figure in Klingon politics. And it is it's important for future episodes. Allegiance. I do not care. Well, there's some funny parts to this episode, but it's not great. It's the one where Picard's like suddenly in this room and he's like, where the fuck am I? There's a couple other aliens there. And then back on the Enterprise, they don't know that Picard is missing because it seems like Picard's there. But he's actually been replaced by an alien. And the whole point, these aliens want to see how people respond. They're basically conducting experiments. They want to see how far the Enterprise crew will follow this alien Picard when he's doing crazy shit. And then they take the other Picard and they want to study like different personality types of leadership, and then blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't care for this episode. This is D to me. Does anyone like this episode? It's not terrible. It's just like whatever. Sorry. Captain's Holiday. This is where we get a better look at. Yeah, he was replaced on the Enterprise by. I mean, it looks exactly like him, but he's acting weird, and they're like, "What's his deal?" Like he's toying with Crusher, like has dinner and like toys with her, and he's like, "You're very attractive." Captain's Holiday. This is where we first get to see Ryza. On Etsy, they have Horgon replicas. One of these days, I'm gonna get one of those. I do have the Ryzian White and the Ryzian Rosé wines. Yep, we meet Vosh. We learn a little more about what the captain's type is. He goes to Ryza. It's a pretty funny episode, actually, and it's got some future stuff and Ferengi. It's pretty entertaining, but I don't know that I would say like it's super high quality, but it's entertaining. So I feel like it's B or C. Excuse me. Looking at these other C ones, though, it's definitely better than those, so I'm gonna put it in B. Ugh. Yeah, that's my favorite part, James. She's like, but you display the Horgon. He's like, what of it? Sorry, guys. Tin Man is the episode with his Betazoid, who's basically like... He's kind of like an autistic Betazoid, where he can't, like, channel his telepathy, and he just, like, feels and everyone's emotions and everyone's thoughts all the time. Sorry, I really need to blow my nose. I'm gonna mute for a second. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. James, it's a fun romp. Yeah, that's what Picard said. Anyway, back to Tin Man. So there's like this alien creature that they've discovered, and both the Federation and the Romulans want to get to it. This episode, Riker's a total dick. Super judgy. And then they get to Tin Man, and then oh, the guy in this episode that plays the Betazoid, he plays the principal in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the one that's evil and turns into the snake. Sorry, spoilers there. Anyway, so eventually they find Tin Man, and then it turns out that Tin Man is the perfect place for the Betazoid. Who remembers his name? I know his name. So many names. I know this. No, not an Abrantine. Damn it, that's the Cardassian. It's Tam something, right, guys? Tam something. Yes, the pre-Quark principle. You broke my brain for a second when you said that, because I'm like, oh yeah. Tin Man's okay. I feel like it's C tier. It's not like it's bad, but it's just not important. Tom Gander? No, that doesn't sound right. Tam. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Too similar to Nabrantane. Tam Mebrum. Yeah, you got it. Anyway, it's just not very important. It's an okay episode. Although there's a really sweet part at the end, where he says to Troi, where Data says to Troi, like, I realize this is where I belong, and it's like, aw. Hollow Pursuits. Okay, so here's the thing about this episode. This episode introduces Barkley. Apparently everyone hates Barkley. I like Barkley. I relate to Barkley. If I was a man, I would be Barkley. And so I like Barkley, but apparently I'm the only one. So basically this guy has like holodeck addiction because of his extreme anxiety and social problems. So he spends all his time on the holodeck, where he's playing out fantasies with Troi, which ain't right. And obviously that's an issue. But he's also, like, dealing with his negative feelings towards, like, Riker and them. What ends up happening in the end? Fuck, I don't remember the end of this episode. He's fixing the thing. I know he, like, saves the day somehow, but I don't remember. I don't remember what the problem is in the episode. I just remember the whole Barkley thing. Everybody else chime in. Does anybody love or hate Barkley? Yeah, exactly, James. You get it. See, right? Yeah. See, I understand Barkley, but apparently a lot of... I think people who aren't like Barkley are probably the ones that hate him. And it's like, yeah, well, you'd hate me too. God, I don't know where to rank this. I do appreciate it that it brings up the issue of holodeck addiction, because I'm sorry, if we're being real, every single person would be addicted to the holodeck and society would crumble. I think this is probably C tier though. The most toys. This is a good episode. Which speech do you mean? When he's like... Yeah, apparently other people hate him. That's what my best friend says. My best friend's a Trekkie. She says I'm the only one who likes him. The Most Toys is a great episode. So this guy fakes Data's death. Data's like delivering some cargo shit to this guy or whatever. Or picking up some, I guess. And this guy fakes Data's death in a shuttle accident so that he can kidnap him and keep him, which is that from TOS, James? And he's trying to keep him as a collectible, basically. And he's like, haha. And Data's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go with this. And this guy's like an awful guy. And he's got this special disruptor. What's it called? It's got a special name. But I'm missing it. I did not see the music video. I need to write that down. This time I didn't write it up. Anyway, yeah, so he's got this special what was it? Was it like a Model T? What was it? A model? Anyway, it's a special phaser that is like awful because when you shoot people with it like very slowly like eats them from the inside out, or not eats them, but like disintegrates them, and it's like horrific. And so he's threatening to kill someone with it if Data doesn't go along with him. So Data's like, damn it. And then Data almost manages to escape with the help of the guy's assistant. And then but the guy catches them, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot her, and he's like, nah. And then he does shoot the girl with the model, whatchamacallit, and they see her die, and it's like horrifying. And then Data's like gonna shoot the guy, and he's like, no, you can't shoot me because you're programming. And Data's like, I can't allow this to continue. And then Data discharges, he shoots it, but right at that moment as he's shooting the guy with the phaser, he gets beamed off because the Enterprise found him. And then he gets off, and they're like, Data, it shows that a weapon was discharged. And he's like, oh, must have been, the transport. And Riker's like, all right. But it's like a super good one because like Data is like struggling because he's like, I can't kill anyone. I'm not programmed to kill. I'm not programmed for violence, but I can't stay trapped here. I can't let him continue to do what he's doing. So it's super good. I'm like, Data! So I'm putting that A tier. Sarek. This episode's pretty whatever to me. I don't know. I'm sure TOS fans like it because Sarek is Spock's father, and he comes and he has Bendai syndrome, which is like Vulcan dementia, basically. And so then Picard has to mind meld with him to help him to get through this conference where he's like the diplomat, or the mediator, I mean. I do enjoy when Wesley and he's losing control of his emotions, which is impacting the crew, and I really enjoy the part where that is a great speech, Prodigal Son. You're absolutely right. See, and that's why Picard is the best peacetime captain. Love it. Anyway, Sarek, the part when Geordi and Wesley are fighting, because they get in some seriously good burns on each other, and I love it. It's so good. I'm trying to remember them, but I just remember it's awesome, because, what does he say? Oh, Wesley says to Geordi, at least I don't have to get my women on the holodeck. And, like, Geordi said something about him not getting any farther than, like, a goodnight kiss or something. Oh man, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, keep going, destroy each other. This is B tier for me. That might be sacrilege. Let me see. This seems like way too many episodes. Something's not right. Okay, here we go. This is the end of season 3. I was like, this is a lot. Something's not right here. Menage a Troi. All you need to do is read the title and you know it's F tier. This episode's awful with the Ferengi and just... I really don't feel that I need to say much more. It's an awful episode with the Ferengi where he kidnaps Loxana because he wants to have sex with her, and it's just an awful episode where we're introduced to Umox, which I didn't need in my life. It's awful. I hate it. Yeah. Transfigurations. This is an episode where oh yeah, sorry. Oh. I'm feeling sneezy, sorry. This guy, they find him on a planet injured, and then excuse me, oh my gosh. And in order to save him, not Riker, God, see. The congestion is hurting my brain. I don't know what that is, but I think we maybe want that taken down. Thank you, James. I lost my train of thought. What am I doing? Oh yeah, in order to save the guy, she uses Geordi somehow. Like, I was gonna say mind meld, but that's not it. Like, Geordi's tissue or some shit, I don't know. Anyway, which gives Geordi confidence and makes him good with women. Oh yeah, he gets a little further with Christy finally. And then this guy, Crusher, and him kind of get like some romance, and he slowly develops superpowers, and then it turns out he lost his memory, so he doesn't know who he is. Turns out he's like the next evolution of his species, and so he's persecuted because they're afraid of him, blah, blah, blah. It's D tier. That's all you need to know. What's wrong, James? I can see clearly now, my sneeze has gone. Next is Best of Both Worlds, Season 3 finale. Good shit. So, this episode, Commander Shelby comes with Admiral What's-His-Face. Oh god, and Admiral What's-His-Face is like, yeah, that Commander Shelby, like a piece of that if I was younger. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? How do you think that's okay to say? He says it to Picard. And, anyway, so she's like a badass. And then Riker's being a little wuss. And like all, you know, Riker's been offered Admiral Hansen, good one. He's been offered the best. I know that happens to me every time, too sleepy. So Riker's been offered a captainship like 3 times, and this is when they're offering it to him again. This one on the Maruko, okay. The Melbourne, right? The Melbourne? No, he expressly comments on her physical attributes, James. It's disturbing. He's like, very pervy old man. And it's like, nah. Yeah, the Melbourne. I don't know how you say it properly. I'm not Australian. But they offer him there, and he's like, IDK. My theory is that he's really just waiting for Picard to die so he can have the Enterprise. But yeah, and then he's being a total douche to Shelby because he doesn't like how she's like a go-getter. And then I love her speech to him. She's like, permission to speak freely. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, you're in my way. If you can't make the big decisions, Commander, I suggest you make room for someone who can. It's like, oh, yeah, Shelby. Anyway, you know, Picard gets captured. He gets made into Locutus of Borg. Why did they need Locutus of Borg if there's a Borg queen? Great question. Why is Picard able to put them all to sleep if there's a Borg queen? Good question. Anyway, this is probably... I'm gonna have to go with S tier. It's a very important episode. Yeah, she's a pre-Jellicoe badass. It's a great episode. It was a big deal. Oh, I'm so tired. Like, I shouldn't be, but it's just this stupid cold. Family, where we get to go meet Picard's family. His brother, Robert. His nephew, French boy. Whose name is... What's his nephew's French name? He's... Robert... Shit. Is it Pierre? Jacques? It's something French. Yeah, I understand why they'd want to capture him, Sapling, but I don't understand it. I feel like it conflicts with the concept of a Borg queen. Rene, there you go, thank you. So, like, yeah, it makes sense they'd want his knowledge, but it doesn't make sense that they would need him as a representative, or that he'd be able to put them to sleep if there's a Borg queen controlling everything. So, family, Picard's all traumatized, but he's like, nah, I ain't traumatized. And so he goes home to... Don't tell me. Labar. To his family's vineyard. Meets his nephew. Apparently he hadn't been back to Earth in like 20-some years. Meets his nephew. Meets his brother's wife. His brother's a total dick. But he helps him work out his trauma. It's a good episode. Because it shows, you know, it's actually like the first episode ever where they actually have like the continuity of like, oh yeah, he actually went through something really traumatic, and we're not going to just pretend like it's all better the next episode. He actually is like, they're showing some issues, so I like that about it. So he's got issues where he's like, he's considering leaving the Federation because it's just everything was so hard, and then he's like, I tried so hard, I couldn't stop it. It took everything I was. And then his brother's like, look, you're gonna have to live with this whether you come back to Earth and work in the ocean or you're up on the starship. So it's a good one. Yeah. So I think it's a good episode. I don't know. Is A tier too high, you guys? How about bottom of A tier? It's nice. It's nice character. Yeah, exactly. It's a great character, like, development where you don't get as much character development, or not, you know, in that when it's so episodic, you don't get the same development. So I appreciate that about this. Brothers, this is where a homing device, I guess, gets activated in Data because Dr. Sung is dying, and so he wants to give Data a special chip he made that'll give him emotions, but he doesn't know that Lore's alive and somehow survived through getting picked up by some Packlids. And so Lore comes to, blah, blah, blah. Lore tricks Dr. Sung and gets the chip. Dr. Sung dies. They're all played by Data. So it's a gaggle of Datas, or of, fuck, what's the actor's name? God damn it. Brent Spiner. I don't care for it. I don't feel like it adds a whole lot. And then Data doesn't get the chip. So I kind of think it's pretty shitty. Say bottom of C tier. You know what? No, D tier. Fuck this episode. Suddenly humid. Human. Yeah, yo, man, you don't have to give an opinion if you don't want. You can just listen. Suddenly humid. I love this episode. I know it sounds like I'm saying humid because of my congestion. Suddenly human. There we go. Ooh, that's good, Otter. I didn't think about that. That's deep. I never thought about that. No way, James. It's his birthday? I'm gonna have to Google that. Suddenly humid, this group of young boys that were on like a training mission gets rescued. But then when rescuing them, they realize that one of them is actually not the species. What species is it? The Tarkalians? No. Yeah, Tarkalian? Is that right? They're like, this boy's not Tarkalian. He's actually, human. And then they discover he's human, of these people that were killed in a battle with the Tarkalians or whoever. Somebody's got to correct me. I'm not 100% on that. Tenosians, I swear it's with a T, though. And, his parents, he got orphaned. His parents were killed. Talarian, thank you. I was so close. Talarian, and so they, so this guy took him and raised him as his own son because his son also died, and that's their law. What cracks me up in this episode is the Federation's like, how dare you have taken this boy? This is an outrage. Crazy. And it's like, anyone else thinking about Worf here? Like, what did we do with Worf? A Federation officer found Worf. I know there are Tarkalians because Dr. Bashir likes Tarkalian tea. That's why I kept thinking Tarkalian. Anyway, so the officer took Worf, found him orphaned on Kittimer and took him, and then raised him. So you're telling me it's not okay that this Talarian did the same thing? I don't know. Sounds pretty fucking okay to me. Like, hypocrites? So anyway, they're trying to help this boy rediscover his humanity, but they mostly help him rediscover his trauma that he's buried. But I really like it, though, because he's, like, bonding with Picard, and Picard's like, oh, you know, I'm not good with kids, but he's, like, bonding. And then in the end, the kid stabs Picard, and he's like, bro, why did you do it? You know how Picard talks. He's a bro. And he's like, because I was getting close to you, and I felt like I was, you know, giving up my Talarian-ness. And so then, it's a good episode, because then Picard is like, yeah, I fucked up. I should never have tried to convince you to be human. This is wrong. I love this episode. I don't care what anybody else says. It's at least A. Yeah, seriously, Otter. It's like, wait. Worf's just back here like, oh, so now it's not okay? Remember me. What the hell is this? This is not ringing a bell. And this picture's not helping me. Remember me. Let's see. Wait, is this what I think it is? No, that's not it. Oh, I hate this episode. That's why I don't remember, is I always skip it. I hate it. Jaku. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying. Jakusotsu? I was trying to write a Gul Dukat song, because he's my guy. I haven't finished it, though. Remember Me is this fucking episode where Wesley accidentally traps Dr. Crusher in a warp bubble, and everybody from the crew slowly starts to disappear, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy, the Tau Alpha Sati Traveler comes and helps Wesley bring her back. F tier. I hate it. Statue for Dukat. Exactly. So I hate that one. Legacy. This is when they go to Tasha's planet and they meet one of the factions and they meet her sister, and it's like, oh, it actually is her sister. And the sister like befriends them, especially Data, because Data had a special relationship with Tasha, we will say, crewmates with benefits. And so they all start to bond with, her name is Ishara Yar, and they start to bond and all, and they're besties, and she's like, I'm gonna join the crew, this is gonna be great, and they have these great conversations. But in the end, it turns out she was playing them. But it's actually a really good episode because, like, yeah, it turns out she was playing them. But then later, before she's going to leave, she says to Data, like, she refuses to kill Data. Like, she could have killed him, but she won't do it. And then when she's about to beam away, she's like, Data, you know, I don't know if it means anything to you, but those conversations we had were the closest to friendship I ever actually had. And it's I don't know, I think it's a pretty good episode. Plus, you know how I love Data, and it's super sad too, because like Data's not supposed to have any emotion, but she kind of breaks his heart. I'm A tier in this. I probably should rate these again after my period is over and see how I feel, but reunion. Oh, reunion. Oh shit. Okay, so this episode, Alexander. So Kalar just decides she's gonna just be like, hey y'all, I've got this 3-year-old Klingon son. Wonder who the father is, haha. And it's just like, wow, you did not feel any need to give Worf a heads up, huh? Like, no need at all to give him a heads up. Like, that's pretty shitty. You just had his son, didn't even let him know. Honestly, she's kind of a bitch for this because, like, Worf would have married her and supported her. It's not like he would have just been like, nah, you're on your own. And she chooses to raise him without any Klingon heritage, which she knows is very important to Worf. So it's pretty shitty, honestly. She kind of sets Worf up to be a failure of a father. I mean, he still sucks as a father, but she did not help. Anyway, so Kim Peck, leader of the Klingon Council, High Council, is dying from poison. Right? Right, James? And then Worf's like, a Klingon wouldn't use poison. So Kim Peck manipulates Picard into being the arbiter of succession. Right, Otter? He would have raised the kid. He would have been a better father in that he wouldn't have been, like, set up. Because, like, the way Worf is as a father is, I think, somewhat normal for a Klingon, but, like, she sets him up. I don't know. I feel like she's really unfair to him. Anyway. Oh yeah, so he wants Picard to be the arbiter of succession. Kalar's helping with that, and he wants Picard to figure out who poisoned him. It's either Duras or Gowron, the two competitors for head of the High Council. It's awesome. I fucking love this episode because so Duras murders Kalar because Kalar's doing some research. She's like, I don't believe that Worf's father betrayed the Klingons at Kittimer. I'm gonna look into this. And she discovers, like, what? The files are missing, like, all this bullshit. And then Duras comes to her because he finds out that she's looking at the files, and she's like, sure seems pretty sketch, Duras. And so he kills her. And then Worf and Alexander show up, and they're having a good time with each other. And Kalar's there. And then Worf's like, Kalar! And then she dies, and then he's like, Alexander, look at your mother's dead body, and always remember. And it's like, yeah, thanks for that, Dad. That's a little too Klingon, I think. Anyway, then Worf's like, stay here. And Dr. Crusher shows up, and he's like, stay with the doctor, and Worf takes off. And then, like, Riker and them show up, and they're like, shit, where's Worf? Worf's on his way to kill Duras! Yes, Otter, you're absolutely right. And he would have done a good job with Kalis as the mother. Like, they would have had some conflict, but they could have figured it out. Anyway, so Worf goes to kill Duras, and Picard's like, fuck, Riker, you gotta get there as fast as you can to stop him. And then Duras shows up on the ship. Alright, Worf shows up on the Klingon bird of prey, Duras' ship, and he's like, Duras is like, you have no place here. And Worf saw Kalar was my mate. And Duras is like, ah, shit. Wish I'd known that before I killed her. So then they battle for the right of vengeance. And then Worf knocks him down as right as Riker enters the ship. He's like, Worf, no! And Worf's all, battleth to the chest. It's awesome. It's awesome. So then Gowron comes head of the council. And then Picard talks to Worf, and he's like, Worf, you shouldn't have done that. And Worf's like, I acted by Klingon law. And he's like, yeah, well, the Klingons agree, but I don't agree, so I'm gonna reprimand you. And he's like, and also, we're sorry about Kalar. And then Worf's like, so, bad news. There's good news and bad news, Alexander. Bad news is I'm your father. Good news is I'm gonna send you to your grandparents who will be better parents than me. Bad news is that you're gonna feel abandoned. Bad news is that your mother's still dead. So mostly bad news. But yeah. I'm putting that in A tier because I absolutely love Worf getting vengeance on Duras. It's awesome. Every time it's like the freaking Super Bowl for me when I watch that scene. I'm like, yes! Kill him! Future Imperfect. This is an episode where Riker's on the Enterprise, and he's the captain, and blooby-dooby-doo, and Picard's an admiral, and Troi works with him, and... Excuse me. He's like, but I don't remember any of this happening. And it's because he has a disease that he picked up from some vapors on the planet. It gave him memory loss, and so he doesn't remember that he has a son, Jean-Luc, and he has his wife, Minuet. And then he's like, wait a minute. Minuet? That's that holodeck chick I was super into, but she's not real. And then, I don't even know. This episode's so blah. I don't want to keep talking about it. I'm just D-tiering it. So yeah, it all turns out that it's all this, like, holodeck thing that this alien created because he wanted Riker to stay on the internet. He wanted Riker to stay on the planet with him because he's all alone. And Riker's like, bro, you can just come with me on the Enterprise. And he's like, wait, what's the thing that the kids these days say? Shit. What's it? Bet. There we go, bet. He's like, bet. Yes. But there's a funny scene where Riker's like, shut up. Final episode. This is the episode where... Oh, final mission, not final episode. This is where we're finally getting rid of Wesley. Blah, blah, blah. I was always proud of you, Wesley. Yay. Bye-bye, Wesley. D tier. Really don't need to say anything else about that. The Lost. This is when Counselor Troi loses her empathic abilities. Oh, that's right, Jasmine. Close your mouth and stop talking. But even the fake Deanna, he won't yell at the same way. That's true, Otter. You're right. You know what? You're right. I'll move it up to C tier for that. The Lost. Troi loses her empathic abilities. Oh no! And she like loses her shit and acts like she's lost an arm or something. I was like, I am sorry. She's like, when someone loses a sense, and it's like, I'm sorry, but that is not the same. Like, you're still human, and humans still have some level of empathic abilities. Like, you're a whiny bitch. And then she gets it back in the end. It's so stupid. D tier. So stupid. Data's Day. This is an episode where Data is writing a log to Commander Maddox, who's the guy who wanted to dismantle him to make a new android, but now they're like buddies. And it's where Chief O'Brien is marrying Keiko. First introduction of Keiko, best Federation wife ever. Best Starfleet wife. I mean, not Federation wife. That's too far. But best Starfleet wife. Keiko O'Brien. Data learns to dance. It's not a great episode, but I enjoy it because I love Data, so I'm B-tiering it. Fight me. No, don't. I'm too weak. Yeah, I know, James, but I don't care. She sucks. The Wounded. Oh, this is the episode... Oh, so this is the episode, okay, when they sing the Little Soldier Boy song, which later in DS9 is like O'Brien's theme. The soldier boy to war has gone. Something in the ranks of... Wow, I really can't sing when I have a cold. Death, you will find him. His father's sword here is geared it on. Something. Anyway, this Federation officer's going, I love Keiko. She's a great wife. Also, one note about Keiko, though. She's portrayed as being Japanese, but the actress is Chinese. Rosalind Chow is Chinese, not Japanese. It's true, Sleepy. And, so the Wounded, this Federation captain, who's O'Brien's old captain, is just going batshit crazy, killing Cardassians. Oh, and this is our first introduction, I believe, to the Cardassians. And the OG Cardassian is Gold Dukat actor himself, Mark Alimo. One of the best. He's going crazy, blowing up all these, like, supposed science stations. So they have to go after him and stop him. And he's like, no, Picard, I'm telling you, it's not a science station. They're lying. And Picard's like, yeah, okay, but that's too bad. And so they have to take him down. And Chief O'Brien helps him, but it's, like, super sad. And, yeah, Ben Maxwell. It's sad. Well, he's not going nuts, but they think he is. But it's just that he knows that the Cardassians are lying and that they're actually arming themselves. But Picard's like, nah, diplomacy, proper channels. All right, fine, James. He's gone rogue, not nuts. You're right. You're absolutely right. Is that a quote? It sounds like you're speaking as the chief. It's a sad episode, though. Because then he turns himself in, but it's really sad. Because, he's traumatized from the Cardassian Wars. And the Cardassians killed his whole family. And I think the actor who plays Ben Maxwell is really good in this. And I love Colm Meaney. Or Colm. It's actually pronounced Colm, isn't it? Colm Meaney. I'm B-tiering it. Because we get the Cardassians. I know, I always say Kardashians on accident. It's so embarrassed. Yeah, so it's great. I think that actor does great. I love Chief O'Brien, Gul Dukat. Or, I mean, he's not Gul Dukat yet in that episode. He's just Marco Limo as the original Cardassian. But it's great. Devil's Due. F freaking tier. God. So this is an episode where there's this planet that's freaking out because they think the devil's coming back. Oh my god, I know, Otter. I sent a screenshot of Picard with a Cardassian in front of him to my brother once and entitled it Keeping Up with the Cardassians. That would be an awesome spinoff. What? Did they ever do that on Lower Decks? Because that would have been perfect. Oh, yes, the quote. Who said? James, that was a good one. Yeah, we will not dismiss him. You're right. Blah, 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 blah. Devil's Due. Oh, yeah, so they think the devil's coming back. And she's super into Picard, and she's got the contract, and eventually they prove that she's not the devil. She's just part of this other powerful group. Blah, blah. I hate it. The whole thing with her being into Picard is so like, ugh, that's so unnecessary to the episode and just brings it down from D to F because it's gross. Creepy. Okay, clues. This is the episode where they're like, whoa, we've all lost our memories. And there's this commander there who's first officer whose name is... What is it? Something Irish sounding, right? Isn't it? Commander, like, Fair... what is it? Shit, what's the guy's name that's gonna bug? Commander... I swear something that sounds Irish. Commander... That's gonna bug me. Anyway, so as the audience, we're like, well, who the fuck is that guy? He's not the first officer. Riker's the first officer. And this one's pretty funny because they've all lost their memories, but they're like on board. And Worf decides, because he's wearing his sash bandolier thing, he thinks it's that he's the captain. And so like he takes command, and it's really funny. Wait, no. Shit, no, I'm mixing up two episodes. Damn it. No, that's wrong. Give me a second. I'm combining two episodes. Damn it, self. This is the one. My bad. I thought it was too early for that one. Okay, Clues is the episode where they're noticing all these weird things around the ship. Like, X amount of time is supposed to have passed, but Dr. Crusher's plants grew more than that amount of time, and other random shit like that. And they're like, Data, are you sure we were only knocked out for X amount of hours? He's like, yeah, totes. But it turns out Data's lying, and Data's like, I can't tell you, sir. And he's like, who gave you that order? He's like, you did, sir. And none of them would just freaking trust Data. If they would just trust Data, always, everything would be fine. But no, they're like, Data. Turns out there's this species that doesn't want to be known about. So whenever someone passes through their system, they like knock them all out. And then like they wake up, and so they're trying to make sure no one ever finds out about them. But then they figured out the clues, blah, blah, blah. And if they just listened to Data, everything would have been fine. And then they're like, you certainly are a most interesting species, deserving of a second chance or whatever. And I hate that they repeatedly say, trust the Data, exactly. I need a t-shirt with that and Data on it. That would be awesome. They keep saying, we have a minor mystery. And it irritates the hell out of me that they repeatedly use that phrase. Well, that's true, James. Must we send our chief engineer? I'm C-tier in that episode. I don't care for it. First contact. Riker's down on a planet. So apparently their thing is they watch a species for a while. Then once they're getting close to warp drive, they're like surveilling the species. Once they get close to warp drive, they go down there and they're like, yo, hey, now that you've got warp, you're going to meet all us aliens up there. Because they're trying to avoid things that happened in the past when people weren't prepared to run into other species. Riker's down there dressed as one of those uggos with the creepy hands. But then he gets injured and they discover that he's not one of them. This actress in it, who's a scientist, is reused many times. Many times. Riker has to have sex with a nurse so that she'll help him get off the planet. He almost gets killed. It does explore some interesting ethical issues of the Federation, because basically they're like, you've been fucking surveilling us with fake ones of us? That's messed up. And you want us to trust you? So I'm gonna B-tier it because it explores that and more about their first contact practices or lack of ethics. I don't know. Galaxy's Child. Dr. Leah Brahms comes back. Fraser's wife. Oh, and she's also she's in a lot of stuff, like small roles in the 90s. Galaxy's Child. So there's this species they discover, and they're like, oh, it's so cool, but then it starts to attack them, and they're like, oh shit, do like a really low pulse, and they accidentally kill it. But then they're like, oh shit, there's a baby in there, so they give it a C-section, the baby comes out, yay! But then the baby imprints on them and is trying to leech their power. So then Geordi's got to solve this. Dr. Leah Brahms is on the ship for whatever reason. And she's a bitch. But she has a good reason, because Geordi's being creepy as hell to her. Like, oh, you like, what's the noodles that she likes? The fun shit. There's some kind of pasta dish she likes. And he's like, oh, you like that? You don't say. And he's being like creepy. And she's like, you know I'm married, right? And he's like, oh, I didn't know. And then she discovers his holodeck program of her where they kiss. And she says, you're touching me every day, Geordi. And she's like, hell no, you pervert. She's like, how dare you use my mind and body like this? And then they figure out how to sour the milk so that the baby comes off the ship and it goes off with the rest of its species. Yay. And Leah and Geordi are like, we're cool now. And then maybe get married later on? Yeah, I feel like this is C tier. I don't know. I kind of like the little creature, though. So I'm going to do low B tier, just because I like the cute little I know, right? I like the cute little creature. Night Terrors. This is F tier for me. I hate this episode. This is this episode where they figure out that a bunch of the crew is having these nightmares, and they're all having the same nightmare, and they recreate the nightmare on the holodeck, but it turns out it's actually not a nightmare. They're actually getting abducted and experimented on every night, which is horrifying, especially for me as someone with a nightmare disorder. I'd like to think it's not because I'm getting... Wait, is that the one? Oh shit, did I mix those up? Let's see. Night Terrors. Oh, you're right. I got them mixed up. No, this is a different one. You're right, James. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, this is the one where they find the ship where the crew slowly went insane, and the only one to survive was... Yeah, you're right, James. I mixed them up. Only one to survive was a Betazoid. And they bring him on board, and Troy's trying to figure out what his deal is. All the crew can't sleep. And only Troi can sleep, but she has nightmares. She has the nightmares, where are you? And they're saying, what is it? One moon circles. And then eyes in the dark. And she's like, it's not a dream at all. It's a message. And they figure out they're stuck in the thing, and there's another ship stuck on the other side of the thing. And one ship, and they're sending a message. They just have to figure out, okay, are they sending a message that they need this element, or are they saying that they have this element? And so then Troi, through her dream, has to say, you know, where are you? And she's telling them that they're gonna combust and get out of the rift. I guess I'll put that in D tier. I don't care for that one either. Identity crisis. This episode is where Geordi's friends are all going missing because they're turning into little electric blue chimp things. Back on an old planet because they got like infected by some shit that's like drawing them back to the planet. I do not care for this episode. And then, yeah, there's not much else to say about it. It's really fucking boring. I don't care for it. Kind of stresses me out too. I hate it. The Nth Degree. So this is when Barkley... Why does this... I can't remember what the... Oh my god, my words. It's a word that starts with a C and it means it causes something to start. God damn it. Andy Sarkeesian's good one, James. Catalyst. I can't remember what the catalyst for this whole thing is, but all of a sudden Barkley's like a super genius and they're like, what the fuck? And he like connects himself to the computer and he is the ship. Blah, blah, blah. But then it turns out actually there's this really stupid species that just wants to study them and learn that has been doing that to him. And then they stay for a few days and learn about each other. The end. It's stupid. Qpid. Okay. This is actually a great Q episode. But it's not as Q-centric, I guess. Q's in it, but... So Q wants to help Picard. Vosh is back on board for an archaeology conference with the Daystrom Institute. And Picard's having relationship issues with Vosh because he's embarrassed, because he's a very private man. So Q sends them into the Robin Hood universe, and Picard's Robin Hood. It's interesting, with the hat and the facial hair, Patrick Stewart is a lot more attractive. I'm always like, he's kind of hot as Robin Hood. And then Vosh has made Marion and all the crew's there. And they're like, oh, you're Robin Hood's merry man. It's the... Damn it, James, you beat me to it. It's my favorite quote. I protest. I am not a merry man. And then Troi shooting Data. I love this episode. It's so funny. So I'm S-tiering it. I don't care. I love it. It's so funny. And, yeah. The Drumhead. Okay, this episode stresses me out. There's this Admiral Sati who comes on board because there's some kind of conspiracy on board, and it turns out there's this... Klingon? He's a Klingon, right? He's a Klingon who was doing bad things, and that caused the thing, and... I don't know. But then she gets obsessed. She becomes obsessed with uncovering a conspiracy, and, she just gets, like, obsessed with it because her father was, like, a super famous, guy. And it's a metaphor for McCarthyism, and she just, you know, she starts... So they already had discovered it wasn't even conspiracy. They'd already discovered the Klingon guy. But then she's, like, obsessed, and she discovers that this one ensign is not 1/4 Vulcan, but 1/4 Romulan, and he lied because he was worried they wouldn't let him in Starfleet. And so she just goes totally overboard, and then she starts trying to get Picard too. But then in Picard's trial, he quotes her father to her, and she loses her shit and is like, how dare you? And the other admiral's like, okay, this is over. So I don't care for it, but I'm told it's a very super special magical episode, so I'll low A tier it. But it's got great speeches, but it stresses me out. Hey, Gamma Spectre. Oh, half a life. Oh god, okay. So this guy, my understanding is this actor in this episode is the voice of Pumbaa from Lion King. So he comes on board. He's trying to save his world from some pending disaster that's in the nearish future, like, you know, climate change kind of thing or something. I don't know. And Lwaxana Troi's there, and she falls in love with him, and they fall in love, but then she finds out that his species has this thing called the... What's it called, James? The the thing, basically where they euthanize people once they hit the age of 60. Is it just 60? 65? 60? 60 sounds really young, but I think it's 60. So he's like, sorry, Luoxana, I know we're in love and all, but when I go back home, I'm gonna be euthanized. And it's awful. And his daughter comes on board because he decides to take a stand and not go home for it. But then his planet's like, okay, well, you're dead to us then anyway. And his daughter comes on board and she's like, why are you doing this? You're shaming me. I'm ashamed of you. But his daughter's played by the Ensign Rowe actress. And it's actually a pretty good episode. Luoxana Troi is not super annoying in it. And like it does, you know, explore some interesting themes. I'll B-tier it. The host. Okay, this introduces Twill? Jesus. This introduces the Trill, which of course are really big on DS9. But they're really different in this episode. They have forehead ridges. They don't have spots. And the hosts are basically just like mindless drones. And the symbiont is the whole person, from what I can tell. So it's completely different. And so Crusher falls in love with this guy, whose name I can't remember. But then it turns out he's a Trill, but she doesn't know that. And the Triller basically, in this episode, the Triller basically anamorph Yerks, basically. And, so she finds out he's a Trill, and then his symbiont, so his body is just a host. Like, it's not like this joining like in DS9. It's like, yeah, this guy is just the carrier of my symbiont. And then, they temporarily put the symbiont into Riker so it doesn't die. Sorry, I needed some water. My head's killing me. So it doesn't die. And then while it's in Riker, it's like trying to get with Crusher. And she's like, nah, that ain't right. And then she's like, you know what? I'll go ahead and have sex with Riker's body. That's totally not rape. And so that ain't right. But then anyway, then he finally gets put in his new body. And she's like, I don't know if I can be with someone like this. Well, then finally he gets his new body. And she's like, oh, I can't wait to meet it. And it's a woman. Yes, it does get an excellent quote in there. Beating me to the punch again, James. So then when he gets the host, the symbiote gets this new body. Yeah, Riker gets the symbiont. So then the symbiont goes to its final host body and it's a woman. And so then Crusher's like, oh, well, I'm not into that. I like the men. But then it's super sad though, because like I forgot the guy's name. It would really help if I remembered his name. Plus, it's not a guy now. It's the woman. Comes to her and is like, you know, I still love you, by the way. And I'll always love you. And it's super sad because Crusher's like, you know, I do love you too. But, you know, I can't be like this, you know. And, you know, I'm not attracted to you as a woman. And she says, maybe in the future, our ability to love will not be so limited. So it's a pretty good episode in that way. Like, exploring, like, that whole thing about like the love, where she's like, it's okay, James, where she's like, you know, I do love who you are, but I can't live with this, like, the changing of bodies, and like my love, you know, I'm limited in that way. So it's a pretty good episode in that it introduces the Trill. I'll give it a B tier, but they changed the Trill a lot when they're reintroduced. God. The Mind's Eye. So this is when Geordi's heading off on a conference. I think it's going to be on Ryza. He's super excited. I know, it's so sad though, James. He does the wrist kiss thing, and it's really sad. The Mind's Eye. Geordi gets kidnapped by Romulans, and he gets basically brainwashed through his visor, and they're gonna use him to try to assassinate a Klingon politician. But it gets uncovered by, I think Data figures it out eventually, and they stop him, and then it turns out, I love it when the guy's like, so there's a Klingon guy that's been working with the Romulans, and he's on board too. And Data's like, look, I know it's one of you two Klingons that's done it. And he's like, well, you're gonna need to be. Picard's like, we need to search you then, and the bad Klingon's like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna be searched by some from Federation people. And the Klingon guy's like, yeah, I agree. We'll come search you on board for a control device. And he's like, the bad Klingon's like, Picard, actually, I think I need to request amnesty or whatever. And Picard's like, sure, we'll grant you amnesty after you get searched on your ship. And the guy's like, fuck. Yeah, James, it is a really good. I mean, that's the thing about TNG and the good episodes. They explore some like really great, concepts and topics, like some fantastic stuff. And then there's the ones down here. So Mind's Eye is actually pretty. I wouldn't A tier it, but I think it's a pretty solid episode. Plus, I like that final scene when the guy gets caught. This says The Theory, but I think the correct title is In Theory. This is when Data tries dating because another woman's attracted to him. Because who am I kidding? I understand. And she's like, let's date. And then, but she realizes it doesn't work out because what ends up? She just realizes that that he's incapable of truly loving her. But I don't know. I think she's a little quick to end it because it's like, okay, technically he can't exactly love her, but he's really kind. He's really thoughtful. He goes out of his way. Like, I feel like she ends it too quick. I feel like she should have tried longer, but I don't know. It's sad. And then she breaks up with him and Data's like, okay, I'll delete my dating program then. And it's like, oh, damn, that's cold. I feel like she gives up on it. I'm A-tiering this one. I think she gives up on it way too quick. Because, I don't know. I mean, in his own way, he does love her. I don't know. Plus, if she found someone better and fell in love, Data's feelings wouldn't even be hurt. She could just break up with him and he'd be like, I'm really happy for you. Okay, final episode, Redemption. So this is the Klingon Civil War when the Duras are like, yeah, we're not going to follow Gowron as the leader of the Klingon High Council. And then Worf goes with them. And Worf's like, hey, Gowron, I want my family's honor restored. And he's like, cool, okay. And then Worf has Kern side with... Yeah, it was, but I think her previous boyfriend... I don't know. You're right. She said, I broke up with an emotionally unavailable man and got right together with someone who's literally incapable, but whatever. I know it was harsh. He's like, so are we no longer a couple? And she's like, no, we're not. And he's like, I'll delete the program. It's like, oh, damn, Data, that's cold. Redemption. Klingon Civil War. Worf backs Gowron. Worf forces Kern to back Gowron. The Duras sisters, B'Etor and... Lursa and B'Etor have Duras's bastard, and they're like, nah, he's gonna lead the council. And they're like, yeah, right. Oh, thank you, James, for gifting the memberships. That's awesome. You're helping continue the Star Trek tier list rankings. So yeah, Worf's honor's restored, and then they're like, okay, Worf, go ahead and kill. Everybody thanks James. Worf, go ahead and kill the Duras's bastard, and Worf's like, nah, he's just a kid. And they're like, it is our way, and he's like, it may be our way, but it's not my way. And then he goes back with Picard. Oh, I was gonna F tier that. What am I doing? But the one part that I really love is when Worf decides he's gonna leave the Federation. I appreciate your appreciation. It's nice to have people enjoy talking about Star Trek with me. My dog gets a little tired of it. When Worf decides he's gonna leave the Federation to join the Klingon Civil War, they all line the hallways to you know how they do that when they're seeing someone off. I'm like, oh, my emotions. I feel like maybe high B tier. I don't know that this is an A tier episode. Hey, I don't love it that much. I don't know. I think the Duras sisters are a little ridiculous. They're a little, what's the word I'm looking for? corny. I don't know. But I'm gonna stop there. That should be the end of season 4. Before we finish for today, I'm gonna preview the music video for the Crown and Crew credit song. And it's already on Spotify, but it's funny, I think. I think you'll enjoy it.
Majestically galloping upon her steed, she's the kingliest king the world's ever seen. Though her vocabulary is a bit confused, when it comes to entertainment she just can't lose. Her Majesty is ready to go. Turn up the lights, let's start the show. With special guests and the latest news, it's time for Round Table Talk with Crown and Crew.
I hope you guys enjoyed that, but I also want to make sure I shout out Playful Otter. Thank you so much for gifting some additional memberships. Really helps keep the channel going, helps me being able to churn out new content for you guys. Hopefully the next video that I will be putting out will be the next tier list. Wait, no. I'm sorry. I have a Gotcha Suffering that will be coming out, and I'm working on the next tier list. Only reason it's not done yet is there's a lot of voicing to do, and as you can tell, my voice is not sounding so good. Oh yes, happy birthday, Otter. Although in Star Trek we don't sing Happy Birthday, it's for He's a Jolly Good Fellow, because they didn't want to pay for Happy Birthday, I'm assuming. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. Stop it. Join the Discord for more discussion on a variety of topics. There's Sneak A, there's general chat. We've discussed a variety of things, with mushrooms and pets and my love for Guldicott. So there's many things to discuss. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. Hopefully my voice will be back to normal next, I was gonna say next month, but we're already in the next month, so next week. All right, have a great rest of your day.